It recently resurfaced that he had dated a 19-year-old when he was 39, had an affair with the wife of a campaign manager, and was addicted to alcohol. Or as Hunter calls it,
no bigger fan of Gavin Newsom than Bill Maher. He loves the guy. Bill, snap out of it. And he had Gavin Newsom on his show on Friday night. Couple of sound bites making the rounds, including this one on the trans issue, SOT 19.
A lot of people lately talking about this 80-20 issue. And I think you are on the other side of this now, the side with the 80. 80 being 80% of the people in this country. Again, this is the issue of should biologically born men be able to compete in women's sports.
That's tough.
And, I saw the polling here in California.
When you mix Gavin Newsom's hair gel budget with the brainpower of a broken Roomba, you get a political disaster so shiny it blinds you before it bores you. But don't worry, Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly just torched the California clown show, and the meltdown is nothing short of spectacular. If you've ever wondered what happens when smug meets smackdown, buckle up, this roast makes a wildfire look like a scented candle. Let's dive into the Democratic dumpster fire.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
What's a condom?
But as always, when a far-left Dem runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left...
Poof, Gavin Newsom, the political equivalent of ordering a kale smoothie, then realizing it tastes like betrayal and wet lawn. California's silver-tongued salesman of slogans, his idea of leadership falls somewhere between an Instagram filter and a failed Broadway audition for Dictators, the musical. If Hypocrisy had a hair gel sponsor, Gavin wouldn't just be the face, he'd be the slick, shiny forehead of the brand.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes.
Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly didn't just roast Gavin, they marinated, sautéed, flambéed, and served him with a side of gluten-free disaster. With Newsom, the material practically writes itself. He's like a piñata stuffed with broken promises and NPR podcasts. Every time you whack him, another absurd idea tumbles out.
Gavin Newsom claims he only noticed Biden's cognitive decline once during the 4 years Biden was in office. And that one time was when Biden endorsed Gavin Newsom. According to a new poll, the city with the most STDs in the nation is Detroit.
Let's start with Gavin Newsom's signature move. Pretending to be morally superior while his state looks like the aftermath of a raccoon rave in a Whole Foods parking lot. Under Newsom, California isn't just a mess, it's a dystopia fueled by taxpayer-funded smugness and solar panels that only work on Tuesdays.
Fundamental question, is it fair? And I can give you example after example. Just in my home state, there was someone that won a triple jump by 8 feet. Right. It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out.
You see, the right has weaponized. One might even say they pounced, Emily, on this issue.
I mean, yeah, of course. It was the right who was just so excited to talk about bathrooms and locker rooms. They just couldn't.
Gutfeld couldn't resist pointing out that Gavin Newsom governs like someone who skimmed How to Ruin an Economy for Dummies and mistook it for a to-do list. And Megyn Kelly, she tore into him like a lioness discovering a tofu-wrapped deer. Wearing Gucci, Newsom's economic policies are basically TikTok dances on the edge of a fiscal cliff. flashy, cringy, and destined to end in a painful splat. Remember when he locked down California like it was Jurassic Park? Then off to the French Laundry to sip artisanal hypocrisy from a $700 glass of 0 cents. Gutfeld barely needed a laugh track. Satire is useless when real life reads like Mad Libs filled out by a hungover lobbyist. And while Gavin preached stay home, save lives, his own hair never budged, probably because it's held in place by the tears of the small businesses he shut down for no discernible reason. Megyn Kelly nailed it. If hair gel had a soul, it would sue Gavin Newsom for emotional abuse.
Gavin's hands. It's time for Gavin's hands.
Welcome to a new segment called Gavin's Hands. He keeps his hands in motion and his hair full of lotion. True, Gavin's views may be idiotic, but his hands moves, well, they're hypnotic. California Governor Newsom's new podcast is out. It's available wherever fine hair care products are sold. And we couldn't help but notice an unintended delight, his unique hand gesture.
Ah yes, homelessness, Gavin's piece to resistance. Under his reign, California became the first state to unofficially classify tent city as a zoning category. Homelessness hasn't just risen, it's skyrocketed, right alongside Newsom's ego at a climate summit. But don't worry, he cares. Nothing screams compassion like turning Venice Beach into a Mad Max prequel. More fentanyl. Fewer morals. Greg Gutfeld practically exploded. Newsom cares in the same way. Your ex who ghosted you cares vaguely, performatively, and mostly about how it plays on Instagram. Meanwhile, actual Californians are out here dodging used needles like Olympic fencers and praying for a Whole Foods to open before the next open air meth spa does. And then there's his crown jewel, transforming California's power grid into a roulette wheel with a god complex. Rolling blackouts, check energy bills that rival Manhattan rent, double check. Gavin loves green energy the way a cult leader loves incense, ritualistically, fanatically, and completely detached from practical reality.
What he posted, stand by. It's amazing. Okay, he posts the following. California, under the leadership of radical left Democrat Gavin Newsom, continues to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This week, a transition male athlete, meaning a male pretending to be a female, at a major event won everything and is now qualified to compete in the state finals next weekend. As a male, he was a less than average competitor. All true. As a female, this transition person is practically unbeatable. This is not fair and totally demeaning to women and girls. Please be hereby advised that large-scale federal funding will...
Megyn Kelly called it with razor-sharp precision. Gavin Newsom's idea of environmentalism is banning plastic straws while wildfires torch half the state, like a deleted scene from Dante's Inferno. You can't sip oat milk through a bamboo straw when the city's on fire, Gavin, but hey, at least the compostable napkins died. SUSTAINABLY. And then there's crime. Glorious California, where shoplifting under $950 is basically an Olympic event, and restorative justice means handing your burglar a spa voucher. Newsom's approach to law and order is like enforcing traffic laws through interpretive dance. Under his watch, defund the police stopped being a slogan and became a Yelp review. Greg Gutfeld had a field day. Crime in California, he joked, isn't even theft anymore, it's just ambitious borrowing. Stores are locking up deodorant like it's diamonds, and security guards need group therapy after every shift. Newsom's solution, blame Texas. Because when all else fails, just point east and hope no one notices your Gucci loafers are ankle deep in a puddle of failure.
Absolutely the right, who just couldn't wait to make an issue out of transgender kids. I mean, this is why Gavin Newsom, I think, is having a hard time on his rehabilitation tour as he's launched his podcast. And it's because he's it's impossible for him to run from his actual record because he can't fully disavow it. He can't fully get away from it. It's like how he said, nobody in our office ever used Latinx. And then a million clips were produced of Gavin Newsom himself, let alone his office, saying the word Latinx. He can't fully divorce himself from the Latin.
And then there's the schools. Oh, sweet academic chaos. Gavin shut them down for what felt like 6 presidential terms. California kids were doing algebra over dial-up Zoom while Newsom gave TED Talks on equity from a gold-plated yoga mat. Meanwhile, private schools, including the ones his own kids attended, somehow stayed open. Suspicious, only if you believe in logic. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back. Public education in California, she said, is like a substitute teacher who shows up hungover and allergic to facts. Under Newsom, math scores fell faster than his approval rating, and kids graduated knowing more about microaggressions than multiplication. But Gavin never lets reality ruin a good photo op. He struts into wildfire zones in designer boots, tossing around buzzwords like resilience and equity as if saying them is the same as fixing anything. Gutfeld nearly choked laughing. The man isn't leading, he's live streaming the apocalypse in 4K.
See, Newsom wasn't just ignoring the problem, he enabled it because Dems were in a woke crouch, terrified of their loony base. But now that he's seeing the White House, he's got a brand new act, a common sense centrist, just a soccer dad in khakis, fed up with crime and chaos. It's all bull, a costume, a political drag show, and the kids this drag queen is reading to are the gullible voters. He's the classic wolf in sheep's hair gel. Just watch him answer the tough questions.
Any other questions here?
Yes, Governor. California has a terrible homeless problem. Why do you think that is?
You know, I appreciate that question. And I think it's a matter.
And don't even get them started on Gavin's presidential thirst, the worst kept secret since Adam Schiff's spray tan. Yes, Newsom wants to run for president, because clearly what America's missing is more condescension, more broken systems and more hair products than a clearance bin at Ulta. He's not running on a platform, he's floating on a cloud of smug so thick it has its own microclimate. Megyn nearly spit out her coffee. President of what the HOA of hell, she torched the idea of Gavin Low America like it was the worst possible Netflix reboot. Imagine Biden but with the vocabulary of a TEDx speaker and the self-awareness of a reality TV contestant. That's the pitch.
You could be the governor of any state. What would it be? And you might say, oh, I would be in Texas, live free or die. No, that's New Hampshire. Just live free, whatever. It's
or just die.
Die, or just, it's California. Because people can live under the most incompetent governance ever. The good news, they appear to be gaining ground among Hamas trannies. That is like a paid laugh. A new book claims California Governor Gavin Newsom secretly funded a monument to himself inside San Francisco City Hall. Apparently the statue is so realistic.
If you could be governor of any state, what would it be? You might say, Texas, live free or die. Wait, no, that's New Hampshire. Texas is just ... live free or just die, whatever ... But the real answer, California, because it's the only place where you can govern with Olympic level incompetence and still get applause. The good news, they seem to be gaining ground among Hamas sympathizers, apparently. That got a paid laugh. And now, in peak California fashion, a new book claims Governor Gavin Newsom secretly funded a monument to himself inside San Francisco City Hall. Word is, the statue's so realistic it almost vetoed a budget and ordered an oatmeal
Put together after Newsom was out there claiming, never.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
That's so fun. Gavin, a simple Google search about yourself will serve you well before you make these sweeping claims. But on the same dishonest, disingenuous front, he tried to act like he's the reasonable one on the trans and the...
And let's not forget Newsom's greatest stage. Every press conference, dripping with enough drama to earn a Golden Globe, mask mandates, business closures, moral lectures, ... Then surprise. He's caught at a birthday dinner with no mask, enough guests to start a cult, and a wine list that screams, do as I say, not as I guzzle. Gutfeld was howling. It's not hypocrisy, it's hypocrisy. When your double standards are so loud they qualify as a fire hazard. You know, you've reached peak Newsom. The guy shut down churches, weddings, even funerals, but made exceptions for Hollywood. Sets and fundraisers. Gavin governs like the guy who quotes Nietzsche at brunch but tips with coupons.
Kennedy, a new book. Gavin Newsom funded claims that Gavin Newsom funded a monument of his head in San Francisco City Hall to commemorate his time as mayor. Was he a good mayor? I don't think so.
He was a horrible mayor. Like everywhere he's gone in the state, every big problem has only metastasized.
Meanwhile, small businesses got torched harder than a gender studies degree at a truck rally. Gavin's brilliant solution to economic ruin. Another committed because if there's one thing Newsom loves more than bad optics, it's bureaucratic. Swamp monsters armed with PowerPoints and zero accountability, and oh boy, Megyn didn't hold back on the taxes. California under Newsom has achieved a magical paradox: record revenue and record deficits. It's like losing money while running a lemonade stand on the surface of the sun. Taxes are so high even the IRS is blushing. You pay more to live in a shack in San Francisco than for a villa in Greece, earthquakes included.
Newsom. The hell?
Oh,
the hell is... who's a better actor? I'm not sure. They're both up for an award.
I was watching him on MSNBC. He's got a new hand motion. I was going to text him. It's this. It's got usually it's kind of this, and then he's doing this. He was doing this thing on MSNBC. He's doing this whole thing. Look, he is the fakest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, like incredibly dangerous. Like he's the type of person that could just stare at you like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just pass a lie detector test. That is very, very dangerous.
Gutfeld nailed it. Newsom treats taxpayers like donors to his personal failure fund. Every year, more people flee California than contestants on a bad dating show. But Gavin doesn't see a problem, he sees opportunity zones. Translation: make it someone else's problem, slap a label on it, and call it innovation. And how could we forget the tech exodus under Newsom? Silicon Valley turned into Silicon Valley leave. Elon left. Oracle left. Joe Rogan fled to Texas so fast he broke the sound barrier. Gavin's strategy: pretend it's not happening while casually tweeting Dalai Lama quotes, hoping no one notices the unemployment line behind him stretching all the way to Oregon. Even his sacred environmental altar is crumbling. California can't keep water in its reservoirs or leaves off its power lines. But somehow it spends billions on rail systems that don't go anywhere, literally. Megyn joked. The only people riding Gavin's bullet train are consultants billing hourly and lobbyists chasing dreams.
Often approaching things from that sort of mindset.
What do you mean for Trump?
I think there's sort of the grievance narrative that comes from Trump. This notion there is sort of a victim grievance.
Let's take a closer look at this with a spot shadow. Or no spot shadow. What exactly is he trying to say here, huh? Is it a mysterious form of sign language for morons? Is he conveying some secret code to terrorists? Is he signaling the Los Angeles Angels to steal third base? But I'm willing to bet that former Californians recognize those hand signals. They're the motions you make to back up a U-Haul as you flee that failed...
Greg didn't just chime in, he detonated. It's not a train, it's a metaphor for his entire career. Over budget, off track, and pretending to go somewhere. And honestly, that's generous. At least trains usually arrive eventually. Career is more like a Segway tour led by someone who forgot how wheels work. Every turn crashes into a pile of taxpayer receipts and a photo up, where he's smiling like he just cured cancer with a selfie stick, standing there like a mannequin, who got tenure, waxed, buffed, and glowing like a Whole Foods aisle came to life and majored in political science. He delivers speeches like he's auditioning to be the spiritual successor to President Bartlett, except instead of the West Wing, he's clearly starring in The Walking Dead, co-starring a budget deficit and zero...
I addressed Gavin Newsom personally. He follows me, so I tagged him. And I'm going to be honest, I begged him to please stop this for all the reasons stated on our YouTube feed. And he didn't get back to me. But I think I was shooting at the wrong public official who follows me, because President Trump is so fearless in this battle. And President Trump, Gavin Newsom ignored me, but President Trump took up the mantle. Big Daddy got out there with his bazooka and was like, I solved this problem, and you governors better freaking go along, or...
You could lock Gavin in a room with nothing but a mirror, and he'd still manage to hold a press conference. He's so in love with his own reflection, he probably tries to outvote it and loses. That's right, the man would lose a debate to a mirror. He's a lifestyle brand gone rogue. Like a TED Talk stuck buffering forever between delusion and disaster, sipping oat milk lattes and making climate pledges with all the sincerity of a used car salesman. If ambition were intelligence, Gavin would have built a spaceship by now. But sadly, all he's constructed is a monument to mediocrity, held together by ego and overpriced pomade. Seriously, he's one pompadour short of opening a theme park called False Promises and Faux Empathy. California, the land of dreams and once the tech mecca of the world, is now a dystopian PowerPoint presentation come to life. Rolling blackouts, tent cities, potholes with better infrastructure than Gavin's grand plans. And through it all, there's the man himself, rehearsing for his next "I'm not running for president, but here's a 7-minute monologue anyway" moment. Thanks to Greg and Megyn, we've peeled back the eco-friendly wallpaper. This isn't leadership, it's performance art with a campaign fund. The emperor has no clothes, just a $3,000 0-cent suit, a personal stylist, and a weekly press conference confidently saying absolutely nothing. But hey, at least he banned plastic straws, that's something. Subscribe to Celeb Club 1 on YouTube for more updates and unfiltered takes.